set, Charles Payne, host of Making Money, and Taylor Riggs, co-host of The Big Money Show, both right here on fabulous Fox Business. Thank you both for coming around. Taylor, did I get the numbers right? We're ahead of November 5th. We're ahead of Liberation Day. Actually, the big bear market turned out to be a modest correction.
Well, and the NASDAQ is in a new bull market.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that. Good for you.
Get excited. Yes, so the S&P 500, 5671, 4 p.m. April 2nd. We're well above now, 5,800 on the S&P. So had you stayed the course and not panic sold on the bottoms of April 8th, you would be okay if, like you say, you continue to trust the process. The process for me...
Who gave that advice, by the way? Just who
you.
Who said buy?
When in doubt,
who said
Larry.
Buy the spiders and own them for 50 years?
Larry.
No, I said 100 years. I think you said 50 years.
But this is the deal, right? And I loved your riff. For me, this trade deal or trade de-escalation was a signal of directionality.
Oh.
This is a president and an administration that wants to make trade deals. Mm-hmm. They want them to go in that direction. So we could argue about the numbers, argue about what another 90-day pause means or not, but this shows sort of the good faith negotiations as long as the other party, China, continues to hold up their end of the bargain.
Charles, on this point, it does show something. I mean, at least they're negotiating with China. A few weeks ago, that seemed to be out of the question. As a China hawk myself, I'm telling them to beware. You can't trust them. But the argument is being made by Scott Bessent, I don't think by President Trump, but by Scott Bessent, that the Phase 1 trade deal, which was not negotiated in Geneva this past weekend, that the Chinese told him once they saw Biden coming into office, they just ignored the whole thing.
Right.
Now, to some extent, that infuriates me. Whether that's true or not, that infuriates me, because that was a deal made by the United States government, and they ignored the whole thing. The other point I'll make is, for all their phony promises to Trump on fentanyl, this was back in 2019 and 2020, they haven't delivered, nor did they deliver during the Biden years. And blah, 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 in Geneva, fentanyl came up. But I want to see it. I don't believe it until I see it.
Yeah, no, there's obviously that's a valid point, and maybe another reason why Trump started with tariffs, right? A lot of folks are saying, why did he start with the hardest thing? And, you know, this is get time to put these deals in place and make sure that they honor them. You know, I know you're disappointed that they changed course when Biden was in office, but everyone changed course. You know, all of the bad actors became really bad actors again. All of the people who despise America came out of their foxholes because Trump was gone, and they reverted back to what they wanted to do, and the world fell off kilter. You know, I think today is also, Larry, really important. It feels like Pax Americana again. And it's not just a trade deal. I mean, think of everything over the weekend. So more than likely, Zelensky is going to meet with Putin on Thursday. Pakistan and India with a ceasefire. I don't think Americans realize or appreciate just how much of a tinderbox that has been for a very long time, particularly in that Kashmir region. The Kurds and Turkey have thrown in the towel, and Turkey says they'll develop that area. So 40 years, 40,000 people dead. Just sort of a calmness, right? Then Idan came home today. He came to his parents today.
Right, the last hostage.
So it's like, it's so powerful, and I don't know, they're related. I'm telling you, what I love about how strong Trump has been with China is because the stronger he is with China, the further off China's invasion of Taiwan, in my opinion, goes. And they have to know that this guy is tough, that he means it. I think they do know that, and it's going to apply to more than just trade.
Maybe even something to do with Iran. Trump's in the region. He'll have perhaps a larger itinerary. You never know what he'll do. I mean, there may be Iranian talks going on that we don't know about, in addition to the talks that we do know about.
Exactly.
And I think that there's that possibility as well. So I like Pax Americana very much. Taylor, sort of a numbers point, but an important one. Dan Clifton keeping track of the so-called fiscal drag from tariffs. Okay. At the peak, it was $800 billion. Now his numbers are down to $250 or $60 billion. Putting aside whether those numbers are precise or not, elasticities of demand and supply.
Ooh, that's a big word. It's an SAT word.
Yeah.
That's me. 70 years ago, whatever. But the point is, this tariff reduction, whatever you want to call it, certainly reduces the threat of either high inflation or low recessions. Got to. And that's the stock market, I think, is telling you that. And the Federal Reserve ought to be looking at that.
Absolutely. You've already had companies like Harley-Davidson come out today and say that we're reducing in a new SEC filing the amount of cost that we thought we were going to have to pay under tariffs. All of that has come down. So you have companies immediately reacting, which is good. That means that they can actually now plan and have some more certainty. To your point, look, we interviewed a few market strategists today, and they are not confident that Q1 is going to have a negative GDP in front of it, that it actually may be revised higher. And if not, it's a little bit of a rounding error. To your point and to the math, again, this isn't a real worry, it's a technical worry. In the next 90 days, how many more rush to buying imports do we see? Because again, we are not quite sure what happens at the end of 90 days. That's what drove the preliminary Q1 GDP numbers negative, because as you know, with the math, an import is the negative number.
Of course, they forgot $200 billion. So the difference between imports and inventories, I don't want to get too, but they lost $200 billion. But I wanted to be helpful to the Bureau of Economic Analysis. I found the 200 and put it back into GDP.
There we go.
And therefore it came out to be 3% plus. So I was very happy
the core
about that.
the core GDP was 3%.
Yes, indeed.
Right? And that's what we should be worried about. We can debate, and many people should, how come these imports would be a negative anyway? By the way, the betting odds have gone down. Kelsey was on May 1st, there was a 70% chance of recession. Now they're 39%.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. It's like the futures market being wrong for 5 years on the Fed and inflation. I thought for sure Taylor was going to say, Charles, that we're on the verge of 3 or 4 or 5 more deals. Good deals, a la the UK deal. India's out there. Japan is out there. Korea's out there. Vietnam is out there. I think they're all coming. There's Mo here. This is part of the Trump strategy.
Watch the market. You know what I love about the market, and what's been so funny about so many people in the financial media and Wall Street. When I first started, obviously, when you first started, you don't fight the tape and you don't fight the Fed. The market is smart. It knows it's an amazing thing to predict 6 months out. 12 months out. The market's been predicting this. Forgetting about headlines for a moment, the market has been telling you we're going to get more trade deals. Things are going to be better. And think how much doom and gloom is out there. Almost every single day, someone makes a big headline about a crash, about doom and gloom. They get the headlines. Every day, I can't wait for my next chart from Apollo to explain how American exceptionalism is all over.
I know, it's
They're so creative.
And certain hedge fund managers, maybe we shouldn't name names, but they're out there touting. The Bears are running for the hills,
right,
Charles.
But they had the soapbox and the spotlight. And somehow the market still rallied. And guess what? Maybe the market knows what the experts don't know.
Don't know.
And I bet you there's going to be more deals soon.
Bentleys and their Rolls, they're getting in there and heading for the hills, trying to get
well, at least gas is
climb
cheaper.
under the radar. Of course they are. Qatar, I don't care if they give him a new Air Force One. What the heck?
No.
Anyway, the President Air Force One is very uncomfortable. No real place to rest if you're senior staff. I mean, Trump's, these guys are big, tall guys. Besson is 6'3".
Yeah.
Trump is 6'3".
Look, I don't care either about
give it to them.
About the free plane.
It's a push.
Someone had a good point earlier, though, that a lot of this is the sustain on Boeing, where it's taken them so long to get a new one. Someone else, though, said, don't bet against Boeing. That new CEO is an engineer, not a salesman. He's slowly going to start to turn that company around. As an American, I want to root for Boeing.
But after Trump gets out, last one, Charles, nobody wants to talk about this stuff. Add them up. Saudis, UAE, whatever, all the Middle East countries. He's going to pick up another $1 or $2 trillion of investment in these United States. Okay, he's already got, I don't know, $4 or $5 trillion, And the tax cut bill turns out to be a bigger tax cut coming out of the Ways and Means Committee, giving these foreign investors good, low American tax rates, probably the lowest in the world. What do you make of that last one?
This is what I want to see Thursday or Friday. I want to see Trump, those cardboard checks you get, Publishers Clearinghouse? I want to see him at the airport with $1 trillion. I want him to greet him at the airport with $1 trillion check. It's amazing just to be able to ask for it, right? When I was a broker, asking for the order. You know how many people are afraid to ask for the order? It seems simple, but asking for the order. Most don't do it. Few presidents have done it. He goes far and beyond. He's asking like, I want $1 trillion.
And we're going to talk to Newt Gingrich in a few minutes about the coming Trump boom. It's very interesting. It's all related piece. He knows how to ask for the order. Charles Payne and Taylor Riggs. You can catch Charles on Making Money weekdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Catch Taylor along with her co-hosts Brian Brenberg, Jackie DeAngelis, and Dagan McDowell on the Big Money Show weekdays at noon Eastern, all here on fabulous Fox Business. You two are fabulous. Thank you.